All right, guys, welcome back to the Cash and Headache Show. I'm Headache.
And I'm Cash.
Today, we're going to be talking about chapters 28 through 34 of Jane Eyre. And let's just say we got some things to talk about.
Yeah.
All right. Like wandering alone on a cold morning. All right.
Yeah,
Let's
this week's Gothis troop is like, the spotlight is isolation.
A lot of isolation goes on in this.
And like
these
Jane
chapters.
is like alone physically and like also spiritually and emotionally. She's isolated too.
Yeah, she just, in these chapters.
She's just in a bad spot.
We delve a lot into her character and how she's feeling in her life right now.
Yeah.
So after leaving Rochester.
This is a chapter summary.
Chapter summary. After leaving Rochester, Jane is alone. She has no money, no food, no idea where she actually wants to go. And she just wanders through the little moors area for days,
And keep in mind, like, the moors are, like, they're wild and they're dangerous. They're empty, Like, they reflect Jane's emotional state by being empty.
Yeah, and I think that's symbolism, for sure. That's symbolism.
Yeah, like how it's lost and uncertain. And, like, eventually she collapses near a house and is taken in the river siblings.
By the rivers. The rivers are the
Yeah.
people, remember, the family.
She's taken in by them. By,
Like Saint John.
Yeah. And Diana and Mary and all them.
Yeah, So, at first, St. John's a pretty suspicious guy and distant when it comes to Jane. Jane even doesn't tell her actual first name. She just calls herself, or her actual name, she just calls herself Jane Elliot. And she kind of becomes a ghost. The Jane we remember from the rest of the book kind of leaves, and we don't remember that, or she doesn't show that part in this part of the story. It's like she erased herself. She's still alive, but she's barely who we remember her to be. So, Cass, let's talk about isolation. Let's talk about how it creates fear, transformation for herself, and self-discovery.
Yeah, and the moors, like where she's wandering, is like the perfect Gothic setting. Like,
it's dark,
they're vast,
empty,
cold. Yeah. No civilization, no protection, no nothing.
No human, nobody around there like to be there to save her if something goes wrong. But what's interesting is that, like, I find this interesting, and I wrote a part in my essay too, is that the isolation doesn't like destroy Jane. She's not broken down by it.
Yeah, like she loses like everything. Like she's stripped of her money, her status, and like her love. But like what remains is her character. Like she stays true to her morals and herself.
And that's what Jane does. Like that's just how it is. This like I feel like this shows a lot about her strength and like how far she's come since the beginning of the book, because like she dealt with a lot of problems with feeling lonely, and like obviously Helen helped her through that. So what's another thing? Let's talk about her love life, guys.
Yeah.
Let's talk about her love life. So let's compare Rochester to Mr. John.
St. John, yeah, Mr. John.
So I feel like, what do you think about Rochester?
Nah, Rochester's like passionate,
angry.
He's emotional, intense, like a thunderstorm.
A thunderstorm. That's a good description, bro. That's a good description. I don't know where you got that from. I think he's pretty dark. He's sporadic. Like he makes really blunt and like random comments that are pretty interesting. And what do you think about
But
St.
like
John?
Rochester or like St. John on their hand is like cold, like he's controlled.
He's smart.
Logical.
He's like a very well developed individual who's like he is who he is.
They're like perfect opposites.
Like fire and ice.
Yeah.
So like
that.
Rochester is fire, St. John's ice. So
and that contrast is like super Gothic. Like both men represent different paths for Jane.
Yeah,
like,
she has to pick one. She has to pick one. I feel like Rochester represents like just passion and emotional love, like that side of things, and St. John he represents like duty, sacrifice. He wants her to go to India with him and make those sacrifices and be more of a utility relationship than a virtue or
like
passion.
The tension here feels like fate. Like Jane keeps encountering forces that seem like almost spiritual, like destiny's guiding her.
That's a good way to put it. I like that. We're going to have our symbol we've talked about a little bit. We're going to go a little bit into depth about it. is the moorland. You know, it's like we
Like
talked about.
it represents freedom, but it also represents danger because it's just a vast, empty. But like you could do realistically, you could do what you want, but
That could be dangerous.
it's dangerous.
Having the freedom could be dangerous. You know, I think it's empty. Like I talked about before, it represents her loneliness. You know, where she is in her life, obviously, but
like it's also open though.
yeah, it's empty and open, and I feel like that gives her the freedom to become who she wants to be.
Yeah.
Development. All right. Next segment. It's time for a Gothameter rating. All right.
On a scale of 1 through 5, how gothic were these terms?
I'd give it a 3, even though I want to say a 4 because Moorland is so gothic.
Yeah, Moorland was pretty gothic, man.
I do want to bump it up, but we'll stay at a 3. It wasn't crazy. No mad lady in the attic.
Like it's not like haunted house gothic, but like it's like psychological.
In its own way, psychological. Good way to put it. We get the mystery, isolation, spiritual signs, emotional intensity, all those things.
But like less supernatural drama compared to earlier.
Yeah, like the
chapters,
red
I think.
room, the
Yeah.
hearing voices,
Like-
and all those things.
It's less like supernatural, but more like
Natural.
natural.
Yeah, that.
But like dark natural.
Yeah,
like
darkness.
earlier was dark supernatural, but now here's dark natural.
which
like,
dark gothic.
yeah.
So it's still very moody, and the vibe is just cold and gothic.
Yeah.
So for the dramatic reading, Cass is gonna read an excerpt here
Yeah.
from the book, and we chose the scene where Jane collapses on the moor before being rescued. I
So-
chose this scene for him to read in his girl voice.
So I'm gonna just do a dramatic tone. So I was a wanderer on the face of the earth,
Girl voice.
but I cannot bear to return to Thornsfield. Her voice is weak but determined.
What she said there is pretty much explaining that she was free and she had the ability to do what she wanted to do, but she didn't want to go back to Thornfield. That's the one thing she didn't want to do in this
Yeah.
moment in her life, in that where that excerpt came from.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I feel like
This is our final reflection,
That's not a part. We don't have to read the final reflection.
Oh.
But yeah. So that's episode
5.
5. That's episode 5.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get to 6 and see you guys on the next episode here in a little bit.
Wait, so like what worked really well though, do you think?
with
Like
this
the symbolism and stuff?
with the book, yeah, I think the symbolism and the gothic themes, that really just went.
All
with
right, we'll see y'all in the next episode.